Okay, so we're ready to jump right into Layla's session. So I'm gonna go through and let you see all of her images like I've done with everybody else. Okay, so again, just another beautiful session. Like I said, everyone just did an amazing job with the second submission. The first thing I'm going to point out is kind of like I said before, file naming and putting at least the images in numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4. When you send in a submission that goes from like just random numbers to numbers with copy at the end to image underscore numbers, it just looks sloppy to a publisher. You want to, make it look nice and clean and professional looking, and it just looks a little unprofessional. So just naming it like, Layla H underscore one, Layla H underscore two, looks a little better. And it also, lets the publisher know what order you want them to see these pictures in. So I'm not sure if these are the same order you want me to view them in, because I hit arrange by name. So that's what most people are going to do. So it's, when most people name it, 1, 2, 3, 4, it goes in that order. So I'm not really sure if this is the order you meant for me to see them in. It almost seems like it is, but naming that file after your name and putting 1, putting 2 will ensure the publisher and the editor is going to see it in the exact order that you've intended them to see it in. So that's the first thing that I'm going to point out. Other than that, for the overall big picture, I absolutely love this session. I love the styling. I love how you included her mask on in all the pictures. I know you said that you wanted to do that in your form as to keep it more mysterious, and I absolutely love that you do that. It's a beautiful mask. It's an awesome styled session, which blogs love. Being nitpicky on 4164. I love sun flares. I shoot with sun flares a lot. One thing that always bugs me is when you get little sun flares like this little green spot right here. Now, something like this I feel is really distracting. I love how it's nice and blown out the top, but I probably would have edited something like this out. It's just a little sore spot, in my opinion, just a random color that really doesn't need to be there, and I feel like it takes away from the beautiful portrait. So if you get pictures like this, and if it's tiny and you can't really notice it, it's fine. But when it's on a close-up image like this, and it's very noticeable, it almost pops out more than the actual portrait. You might want to take it out because it does take that portrait down a little level from being, an amazing portrait, amazing picture, to just, it's okay, but there's, a green spot there. So I did want to point that out. The other thing that I wanted to point out was 4107. And see, naming these files are also making me hard to find which ones I wrote my notes down for. 4107. So these two images, in my mind, were pretty much the same. Even though her hand moves, you still have her hand on her face and her hand on her face in pretty much the same crop. I mean, you're a little closer in the second one, but in a publisher's eyes, I wouldn't have put those two pictures right next to each other. I probably would have selected your favorite and took the other one out. That way, so every single portrait, is different. There's not a really close similarity between those two right there. The only other thing that I will point out is I love how you ended with black and white. And I know you did a little vintage tone on here, which was awesome. I can see a little red. But the last image, I don't see any red. So it almost feels like these first 3 black and whites were edited consistently, and the last one was not. So just make sure you're editing all your black and whites consistently and all your colors consistently, so everything flows together and nothing's a little choppy because your editing style is getting a little different. So that's pretty much all I have to point out from this session. Overall, it's beautiful. I love the styling from it. I love the mask, I love the hair, love the makeup, love the dress. Awesome session. Sorry. So we're going to go ahead and jump into Michelle's session, and I'm going to let you look through all their pictures like I've done with everybody else. So I love that Michelle did a session about objects, kind of a still life session instead of people, because blogs do love to publish these. A lot of people don't submit them because they don't think about it. Most people don't shoot like this. But I love that this whole session is different. It's about photography because it's all these vintage cameras. And I love how she went through and she did each one, and that you style them all a little differently. Like in this one, you use the little flowers. And then as you go into a couple of the other, you kind of set up a different location. You use this old radio behind it to kind of go with the theme. You just use different props for each one, like you have different flowers here. And I absolutely love that, how everything's just a little different. And you took, a full a picture of the full camera, and then you did all these little detailed camera. It was awesome. And I know in your comments you said before that you did not use a texture on your last session, and I apologize. I want everyone to know that she didn't. But I did like how you use some overlay textures on this one because it is vintage and it goes with the whole theme of it. And because it is a still life session, it does go. The only thing I'm going to say is this first picture where you said your granddaughter is using the camera, and then your son is using the camera. I almost feel like they're a little out of place. I know you're trying to tell a story, but from someone going through and viewing all these pictures, you start with a person involved, and then you go to all these still lifes, and then you end with a person involved. So it almost kind of chops it up a little bit. So I probably would have taken those two pictures out. And then the same with this one because a hand's involved. There's no other human interaction in any of the other pictures, which makes them so strong. And then when you do come to a spot where you do see some human interaction, it almost doesn't go. But that's pretty much all my opinion on this session. I absolutely loved it. Love the details. I love how you did the editing. I love how you set everything up. And I love that it was different and you didn't just go out and, grab a human to take a shoot. You actually thought out of the box and did, a still life session. Okay, so the last session we're going to do today is Morgan's. And I'm going to go through and let you view all of her images like I've done before. Okay, so I gotta say, I absolutely love this session too. I really don't have a ton to say about it. It's awesome. I love the detailed shots you did. I love how you started with the tractor. I love how you took a picture of the actual tractor to kind of show you that even big props can be taken, can have their own picture taken. I absolutely love that. I love how you have your son working in the garden, being a farmer, interacting with the garden. I love how you captured that and kind of captured the story of him planting and working in the garden. Absolutely, absolutely love. The only thing that I will say is, and this is also personal preference, if you love shooting horizontal and that's how you shoot, stick with it. But I'd like to see a little variation, either in some verticals, throwing some verticals in there, throwing some diptychs in there, throwing some square, because from a blogger standpoint, and it's not always horrible, but when you see horizontal and under horizontal, under horizontal, under horizontal, and everything is just going through horizontal, it's not as pleasing to the eye as seeing like a horizontal to a diptych of two verticals to a square to just a vertical by itself. Kind of that whole styling of putting a blog post together. But that's really my only comment on this whole session. I really couldn't find anything else. Maybe another one that's really being really picky is, where's it up close? On the stool. I know there's a little design under there. If you're really looking for it, it could be a little distracting to the picture. But again, that's being very picky. Other than that, I absolutely love the way you captured this session and the detail and the storyline of it. Oh, loved it. So again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the forum below. Otherwise, know that our live Q&A is going to be this evening from 8:30 to 9:30, and then also tomorrow morning from 9 to 10. So hopefully you guys will pop in for one of those times. If not, feel free to leave some questions on the live Q&A post, and I will be more than happy to answer them.